is our March webinar using Schoolnet in the ELA and Social Studies classroom. We're going to continue posting this link in the chat for you throughout the session for anybody that's new coming in so they can get those. But hopefully this is not your first time joining us and that you already are familiar with Catherine and I, but just in case, Catherine, would you introduce yourself?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Catherine Simone here. I am your Schoolnet person from Pearson, and look forward to working with you this afternoon.
We are so fortunate to have Catherine with us. She is not only a wonderful person, but she is a wonderful Schoolnet resource as well. And my name is Rebecca Stokes. I'm the product manager for Schoolnet for NCDPI. Catherine and I work together daily, I would say. I'm pretty sure we communicate every day to make sure that you feel supported with Schoolnet and that everything is working properly for you. And we're just here to support you on any of your Schoolnet needs. So just a few housekeeping things. First up, CEU questions. So if you are with us on the live webinar today, you will receive a certificate for 0.1 CEUs. So just remember that is equivalent to 1 hour of credit for participating in the live session. So I will send you a certificate, but it is up to your district or school for you to follow that approval process, and they get to decide what type of credit it is. So I always recommend sending the title of the session. You can give a brief little description about what it was about, and excuse me, and then your district will decide what type of credit that will apply for. So just make sure that you are following your district or school's approval process for those CEUs. Next up, so with us using Teams, you are not able to turn your camera on or unmute your mic. So we highly encourage you to use the chat. So that is available for you. It is not a webinar based in Teams this time, so it should be easier for you to use the chat feature than it was previously when we had a different platform. So please put any questions you might have in the chat and we will make sure that we get to it. And of course, thank you for being here. So let me let a few people in that I heard.
I think I got them all. One person, I keep clicking admit, but it just says admitting and spinning. So I'm not sure what is going on with that person.
Okay, it might be a connection on their side. Because all we can do is try.
Okay, that's the only person I have left. And I've been putting the deck bit.ly in there. So we should be up to date on all that.
Thank you. All right, so let's get started. All right, so our goals are our agenda today. Since we are focusing on just Schoolnet in the ELA and Social Studies classroom, we're going to explore some filter options that are specific to just those two subject areas that we think would be beneficial. We're also going to point out some K2 features. So I hope that we have some K2 friends on this call. If not, please share what you learned today with your K2 friends. There's a big misconception that Schoolnet is not used in K2, but we have lots of resources for them to be able to use, and not only in like a testing session or test setting, but they can use it whole group and lots of other ideas. So we're going to be showing you some of those features as well. Some specific test settings for ELA and social studies. And then we're going to actually build an assessment showing you the passage grouping. And then the big elephant in the room, we're going to go ahead and talk about some planning for the upcoming ELA standard changes. We want to make sure that nobody is caught off guard with Schoolnet and ELA standards changing. So we're going to talk about that as well. And then, of course, there's going to be time for any questions and answers that you might have. All right, so first up, if you are brand new to Schoolnet, and you're not sure how to even get into the platform, we are here for you. You are going to access through NC Ed Cloud. And I know that some people call it I am, I aim, like people, I've heard it lots of different things, but just know it's where you log in to do your attendance with Infinite Campus. So once you log in here, you are going to have a list of all of your applications. Schoolnet is more than likely going to be on the very bottom row because it is alphabetical. And ironically enough, I don't have a Schoolnet icon. That's not how I log in. So I don't even have one to show you, but it's the red circle with the white house. Looks just like this. But if you do not see it, you want to make sure when you are in NCED Cloud, if you look over on the left-hand side, you want to make sure that all is selected. If you only have your bookmark selected, then it might be hidden. So just make sure that all is selected and you should see it there on your bottom row. It's a red circle with a white house. So we encourage you to be in Schoolnet so you can follow along with us. But on slide 8, there is a training site if you would prefer to be in the training site following along, but we encourage you to be in the live site. Okay. All right. So Catherine, I'm going to stop so we can explore some of these filter options in the training site.
Sounds good. Let me get to item banks and I will share my screen. And here we are, Schoolnet. Let me just do one thing so I can cheat and look at the PowerPoint at the same time. Sorry.
Oh, yes, that's always needed.
Yes. Okay, everyone. As Rebecca said, we are logging in to the training site. So if you're taking a look at slide 8, there is the login information if you want to play along in the training site, or you are certainly welcome to go to your production and live site to investigate the filters. Okay, one thing I want to caution everyone in the training site, there's a lot of extra banks in here, so this account, has a lot of things we used for training. So just pretend like it's not there. Just for this presentation, what I'm going to do is just click on the top item count. That'll pull items from every bank that I have accessible. I'm currently logged in as a teacher, to be clear. Okay, so once, let me just back up one quick minute. I went over here to the left, assessments, second section, I went to item banks. I clicked on the top number, and now I am going to click filters. Okay, this is kind of my favorite way to access the items. What I like to do is choose my subject. So for this purpose, I will first do ELA, and then I can focus on a grade if I like. Let's just pick a middle grade. I'm going to pick 5th grade, right in the middle there. And then I could choose to do standards, but for ELA, I kind of like to look at the passages first. So up here, and this is very important, this is pretty much exclusive to ELA. I like to click the box that says find and group items by passage. Okay. What is this doing for me? This is letting me see the reading passage. I can read it. I can scroll down a little bit. I can click view more to expand the entire passage. I immediately see that there are 19 items associated with this particular passage. From there, I can scroll through, look at the items if I like. If I am working on a particular standard, I can add one more filter here, select standards. It's going to take me right to the 5th grade ELA standards because I've already chosen ELA grade 5. I go to the arrow here on the side. It gives me a drop down. And let's just, for this demonstration, say that I am focusing solely on informational text. Okay. I could click the plus sign and it would only produce the 566 items associated with informational text along with our passages, or I could drill down a little bit further. And let's just say I am working on determining central ideas, reading closely. I'm going to pick this first cluster. Just note that I click the plus sign. Okay. What that does is it captures all of the substandards below. Then I hit save and close. And now I have a little bit less to look through. Okay. So let's just say I've gone through, I've looked at my items, and if I in fact like this passage, I can either choose the individual questions that I like, or I can say select all. And that is going to give me all 12 items associated with this passage. Okay. So that's the first 3 filters. Right now, I'm not going to add it to a test because I want to show you some other filters. I've chosen my subject, my grade, and a couple standards. Okay. Scrolling down a little bit further, we have the options for DOK level. Only some of the banks tag items with DOK, blooms, or the
Cognitive
question.
demand, I believe.
Cognitive demand. Sorry, didn't remember what the last one was. The other filter is the question language. In our banks, we only have items in English and in Spanish. And I'll go back and show you the Spanish bank separately, so you can see that one in a moment. Okay. But down here, just to be clear, I use the top filters. There is another filter button I can open up, and it's going to retain my choices. I can say I had English, grade 5. I chose all these standards. From here, I could choose item types that I want included. I can choose passage properties. We will show you in a minute. We have a spreadsheet that shows the dates that we've added new items. And you could put a date here, so you could only see the new items if you like. But just remember, the more items, the more filter items you apply, the less items are going to be produced in the final search. Okay. All right. I'm going to pause there for a moment because I do not have the chat up, Rebecca. I'm using all my screens right now, just the PowerPoint and the other. So is there any questions?
No questions, but I wanted to see if you would mind showing just on this screen how you can tell what bank it's from and the properties of the question real quick before.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Great question. So on the right here, we have this particular passage. When I look over to the right, I immediately see that this publisher, the publisher of this item, was from the NCDPI Classroom Bank. The language is English, and the passage type is informational. Anything blue is a link. You can click View Passage Details. It'll open up a new screen. Here you're going to get more information on the particular passage. When you scroll down, you see all associated items. You can click the plus sign to read the item. You can click view. And now we have those same properties that are associated with the item instead of the passage. So we know that this was a 5th grade item. I did not create the item. I'm the one that loaded the item. So that's why it has my name there, but it's in the DPI bank. I can hit properties. Now I can see the cognitive level, the cognitive demand, the web for this particular item. And then you can also, if the item has been used before, it will give you some statistics. This particular item is an older item. I can see that it was loaded to our item banks back in 2022. So a lot of features. Of course, it tells you what the correct answer is, etc. And then you can just hit back to previous. And this opened it a new tab, so I can hit back to my item bank. And now I have selected, I can go back and select all for this one. Any other filters on this screen before I finish the process, Rebecca?
Nope. And there's no questions.
Okay, great. So once I've chosen my passage and selected my items, there's a blue button. Once you select items down here in the right corner, item actions, add to test. If I already have a test started, I can just select it here, or I can say create new test with these items. And I would create a test the same way I would start one, a manual test. I would put a title, I would choose my subject, my grade level, my standards document was ELA. If you're a teacher, you only get the option of my classroom test, and then I could generate the test from there. I'm going to cancel this out because I just want to go into it another way. I'm going to go back to my home screen. There's many ways to do this, but I want to show the alternate method in case anyone is accustomed to this one. I can start with my assessment. I go to assessments, create, manual test. For this particular one, I'm going to call it ELA. I know I'm going to do 4th grade. This teacher's 4th grade. It is, I put my subject in, grade 4, pick my standards. It's a teacher, so I only have the option of my classroom test. If I know what standards I want ahead of time, I can select them here. So the same way you saw previously, where I went to the reading and I selected all my informational ones, let's do literature this time. I'm going to hit save and close. All those standards have loaded. I'm going to go down here.
Oh, hey, Catherine, sorry. Can you pause real quick? So I'm answering the first question, but you did have someone that said that they missed after selecting items the next step, and they just asked if you could do that part again. But I think you're actually going to show, I think they were referring to when you were searching the items first instead of creating the manual test first. So we might just need to go back in just a minute.
I'll go back to that one. Yep, not a problem. So I set up my test here. I go down to the bottom right. It says generate test. You can write your own questions, or you can say use items from an item bank. So I'm going to click use items from an item bank. And now I'm back where you saw me originally. I have my subject, my grade, my standards selected. Don't forget, I'm going to check this box that says find and group items. I'm going to read through. Let's just say I like the cheerful cricket. I'm going to select all. And for the person that had that question, this is the same view. Once you selected your items and your passages, down to the right, it's add to test. In this particular one, it's putting it right, those questions right into the test that I set up, okay? But let me go back and show you that other one real quick. So I went here, I went to items. Just gonna set my search filters. Okay, let's just say I'm gonna click on choose Benjamin Franklin. So for the person that had the question, I've selected my items, item actions, add to test. And then here, I can say create new test, or I can look for that ELA grade 4 that I just started, hit select, okay. And now I will have the Cricket and the Benjamin Franklin passage available in this test. I can click item details, and then you would see there's my Cricket. And if I scroll down a little bit farther, whoops, it's a little bit up here, there is my Benjamin Franklin. And since I just did that, the items are still generating. So that'll take a minute before you can see them in this test details page. I'm going to pause there.
Perfect. I did have a question. I answered it in the chat, but I wanted to see if you could show it.
Sure.
So I noticed this when I was doing training with another school as well. So when they go to, if they don't create a test first, if they go by searching the items first, multiple grade levels are selected at once. So can you just show where they can click all filters and unselect those other grade levels? I would recommend creating a test like Catherine just showed if you have multiple grade levels, because then only the one grade level that you choose is going to be selected. But if you build it like she did initially by choosing the questions first, there is a fast way of getting rid of those additional grade levels.
So let's just demonstrate social studies for this one. That way we'll do simultaneous. I pick my subject. And you can pick your grade level here. Is this what we're referring to, Rebecca?
So yeah, so when they click to on the grade level, there's already like 4 or 5 automatically selected by default. And it's because the course codes have a range of grade levels. So even though they only teach 3rd grade, it shows like K through 5 and they're already selected. So I just wanted to see if you could click on all filters just to show how to get rid of those other grade levels initially.
All filters. And let's just say you had 3, 4, 5, and you only wanted 4, you would have to deselect these. Or you could clear all the filters and reset to just 4th grade.
I find going to all filters, it doesn't refresh as quickly. Whereas if you're on that initial screen, as soon as you unselect one, it like refreshes, and then you have to unselect the other, and it's just a little bit slower of a process. So I just feel like clicking on all filters is better.
I'm actually more curious. I don't want to disrupt the webinar, but I'm actually more curious how they got. It shouldn't have the system should not have chosen default grade levels unless they already started with a test.
Yeah, because I've found that when I was doing training at another school and I was looking at the teacher screen, that there's already grade levels selected when they go to search questions that way. So maybe that's something we could investigate.
Yes, I am not aware of that. So
okay, let me. Yep. So Dawn, you've helped us realize that there's a problem, and we're gonna investigate why that is.
Okay, while you're jotting that down, because I could tell that's what you're doing, I just want to focus on the social studies for 1 minute before we move on to a different topic. But social studies, same thing. You're just changing your subject here. Okay. It is social sciences. And you can choose, let's just go 6th grade. I know there's more items there. Because the social studies standards were changed a couple years back, the bank has been accumulating more items for social studies, but there seem to be more items at the upper grades than the lower grades currently. We do get items, from all sources, period, like quarterly for KDS and twice a year for DPI, but just letting you know that those are still trickling in here. So with the social studies, all the filters are still available. We don't really have too many items, too many passages for social studies. So you could still use the find and group items by passage, but it would remove a lot of items from your search. The other thing with the standards, just to make sure, get rid of this, extend it. Sometimes in social studies, we do a band, just to be clear, of the standards, because 6 to 8 is kind of linked together. And I wanted to demonstrate this because you see most of the items here are sitting at the 6th grade level and not at the 7th and 8th. Again, that's due to the replenishment project, but if you're an 8th grade teacher, don't be afraid to use that grade band for the social studies, just to look at the questions and see if they apply for you. Same rules. You're going to click the items you like. You're going to hit add to test. You can either add to an existing test or add to a new test. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop there for a minute. Questions, comments?
Let's say I am answering one in the chat, but just so you know what it is, they were asking, is it possible to choose social studies and ELA standards together? So yes. I was just letting them know that you can do that, but correct me if I'm wrong, does it pull based off of the subject area first?
Well, let me clarify something, because maybe I misunderstood the question incorrectly. But you're going to have ELAs. You can choose ELA. You can choose also social sciences. However, we do not in North Carolina have any dual subject tagged items. So there are no items, if that was what the question intended, I'm not 100% sure. We don't have any items that are both social studies, aligned to both social studies and ELA. Was that the intent of the question?
Well, it just said those standards together. So I'm assuming that they were wondering if you could have ELA and social studies questions together. Yep, she said, thank you. That is exactly what I was asking.
Okay. We don't have any dual tagged items, for dual subject tagged items. Okay. All right. So the next thing it looks like is K2 features. And let me make sure. Okay. So that was
I'm just
PDF.
curious, do we have any K2 teachers on the call? If so, put it in the chat. Like I said, even if you're not, I know that you have K2 friends or you work in the building with K2 that might not be aware of these features.
Well, I'll just do a quick search of the items so anyone can see it. But if you go, it's KDS that has the features, right? Yeah. Okay. So again, here I'm going to search. I'm not even going to pick a subject. I can do ELA and social studies simultaneously, because we're going to be looking at a little different feature here. And social studies. And then if I pick my grade level, I'm going to pick grades 1 to K1 and 2. And let me see if I can find one. Of course, I won't be able to find one.
Right, I'll say. I think most of the time, I think there's a lot more math than there are ELA ones.
All right, let's do mathematics. And maybe if I drop 2nd grade, or I'll pick 1 grade just so I don't have to look through so many. But you can do K to 2. What we're trying to show you in the K2 features is that there is a speaker built in to some of the questions, so that it reads it to the students. Oh, man,
I'll say it's pulling all of the social studies first, and I don't think that those features are on social studies.
Okay. let's not do that.
Or at least not that I've seen. I've seen them on ELA and math.
All right, trying again. Should have queued up a question for this one. Oh man.
Let's see.
And there isn't a filter for that, right?
No, I wish. Let's see. Okay. Oh, nope. I'll say I know there's a graphic gap match because we have it in the slide deck. Okay. Here, you want to just type in a passage title in the filter?
Sure. Go ahead.
How does your garden grow? Then you'd be able to find one a little bit easier.
Yeah, cool. Maybe it's not kindergarten. It might have been second grade. That's
yeah, possibly.
I don't know, Rebecca, you led me astray on this one. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Let me get rid of the graphic gap match because that might have done it. I'm sorry, folks. We're really gonna try this one. There it is.
Yay!
Okay,
I was
yay.
logging in to find one too.
Yeah. So what we were looking for is a lot of the questions, and I know it didn't seem like a lot of the questions because we couldn't find them, but when we have the right search filters, they give you a read aloud. It's already built in. So if I preview this, and it'll probably take a minute, of course, there is a button for the students to have the other item or question read to them. And this is what it's going to look like for the student. I was hoping it would come. There it is in test nav. There we go. So this is what the student would see. They click this button. And then they can have the passages read to them. And if you selected all the items for this passage, finding group.
Oh, just saying that's how does your garden grow. So I knew it was in there.
Salsa time. There we go. They all have a listening button for them. So if you are using this in the lower grades, then you have that option. All right.
I'm just going to add, when she means it's a built-in read aloud, traditionally in Schoolnet for a student to receive read aloud, that has to be an accommodation that's entered in the student's profile. But with these questions from Key Data Systems, it's already built in, so that accommodation does not have to be in the student's profile for them to receive that. They would be able to just listen on the assessment. And even if you're not giving this assessment to students individually, especially like in kindergarten and first grade, you could display this on your TV or your interactive board and click that listen button and all listen whole group as it's read aloud, just to demonstrate to the students.
Okay. All righty. And then the next thing we have is text settings to consider. Test settings, sorry, I'm reading it. Okay, let's go back. Should have lumped these together. When I create that manual test, we demonstrated how to set up the test here, but there are some test settings that you can, accommodations. So I have my default settings for text to speech. If you're working with younger students and you're not picking categories, questions that have the built-in already, you can enable text-to-speech, but this would need to be enabled in the student's PMP, as Rebecca mentioned before. You can also enable the magnifier, the line reader. If you're not using, if you're not using a lot of TEI items, you also have the option to print the test as a Word doc for the students, if that works. If for any reason you want to apply some test restrictions, you can. You can show the correctness for student responses only, hide correct answers. You can restrict access during a certain period of time. You can restrict the test details, correctness, and this one we don't use a lot because it restricts a lot of the reporting. Or finally, you can hide it from the student profile. So the test, once they submit, it comes back, it shows up in their student profile, and you can restrict that if you choose. Okay. All right, and then the next one, we've been talking about that PMP. So let's see how we get there for a student. I'm just going to go back as this teacher. I'm going to get to their home page. I just need to grab a student to demonstrate. So in the class profile, in yours, you would see student names. We're just showing, this is the scrambled site. So I'm going to click here. This is the student profile page. A lot of information here, but we're going to go all the way to the right on the TestNav PMP. And if you chose text-to-speech when you were creating your tests, and some students need this enabled, then you would need to check the text-to-speech box here. Also, any other accommodations would also need to be checked if you had set those in the test itself. Okay, so a lot of times we get calls that say, I enabled the text-to-speech in the test, but my students don't have access to it. It's because their PMP has not been enabled. So you would have to click boxes here, hit save down here on the right. And now this particular student would have access to all these accommodations on any tests that I create. Okay. I'm gonna pause there for a minute.
No questions currently.
Okay. All right. I think I did the next two with the first thing.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to see is if we could just point out for social studies about using the keyword search as well.
Absolutely. Let's go back to items. Let's go here. We're going to go filters. So let's see, what do I want to talk about?
Oh, yeah.
Can I do World War What? Let's see if that'll come up. Maybe I got to spell it out. Let's leave off the one just for sake of argument. I'm going to type something in there. I'm going to say all words. And now any question that had World War in it would show up. If I wanted to limit it to World War I, now I'm seeing questions that have World War I referenced. Okay.
And thank you. While you're in here, another question just popped up, and I know the answer to this one, but if you could show it, is there a way to search ELA assessments by a specific format such as poetry? And I know that's a filter option for ELA.
Yep. So let's go back here to that ELA subject. And then I'm going to use the all filters. And got to remind myself where it was.
If you scroll back up and you click that box to show the items linked to passage together, then those ELA filters will pop.
Oh, thank you. So passage type, you have poetry, informational science, informational social science, literary text, and general. Now remember, it's all in how these were tagged when the items were packaged for us to upload. But let's see what we get. I did the poetry for you. Remember, I did not select a grade level at this point, but I could if I wanted to. You can see most of the poetry starts with 3rd grade, but if I click 4th grade here, and it's already grouped, you're going to see a bunch of poetry passages. Good.
Thank you. Yep, I think next up is for ELA updates. You want me to take that one?
I think you should.
All right, so let me share my screen. Okay, all right, so next up, and this one is for ELA specifically. So we know that there are new standards. I know they are currently just viewable, so they're public, but they are not for implementation until I know it's not this upcoming school year, so the next one would be 27, I believe. Yes, good gosh, I'm getting my years mixed up. So we want to go ahead and let you know a year and a half in advance about what's going to happen. And if you are social studies, you are already familiar with this because this just happened for you guys recently, and science as well. But with the standards changing, that means that we will be having to remove items and standards once the new ones are live. Okay, so since the new standards will be implemented in 2027, the 2017, the current ones, will be archived, meaning removed from the system on June 30th, 2027. Okay, so we are hoping to load the new ones into the live production site and in training this summer during June 2026. So that's pending approval. But what we're hoping to do is go ahead and get those in the site, and it would say, what was the wording we had it say, Catherine? Like
preview.
Preview only, something to that effect, so you know that those are the new ones. But the reason that we do this is because if you would like to use assessments that you have created or questions that you have created yourself, those items have to be tagged with the new standards in order to use them. Okay. Because currently all of the items that we have in the system are aligned to the 2017 standards. So those would have to be realigned with the new 2026 standards. Now, all of this to say, this is only if you would like to keep items that you have created or assessments you have created. If some teachers just choose to build new assessments with the new questions, that is perfectly fine. But we do want to make sure that you are aware that there is not going to be the number of items right out the gate that there is now. It takes a little bit for them to give us questions each upload to build those banks back up. So for example, if we had 5,000 ELA items right now, we are not going to have 5,000 on July 1st, 2027. It's going to take a little bit to get those items built back up. We will, of course, have items for those standards, but it just won't be the numerous amount that we currently have at the beginning. So all of the ELA items that are aligned to the old standards will be removed, and the items will begin being replaced in July, August of 2027. And like I even put it underlined and in bold, it will take time to build the banks back up. So we have in here our webinar that we did for the social studies realigning, just if you want to go ahead and get an idea of what exactly this process is. But we are hoping, like I said, with approval, to go ahead and get those standards in this summer so that you have an entire year to realign any test or items that you created before those standards are removed. Because even though this happened with science and social studies, we know that there is always someone who was not aware that this was happening. So we just want to go ahead and put the word out that when the standards change, all of those items are being removed. And there is a process to make sure that you have access to your previous assessments and any items that you created. So we are going to record a session doing this during the summer, and we'll make sure to have that posted in Schoolnet on your splash page. And we're going to try and make sure that there is no possibility of anyone not being aware of the process or what has to be done to do this, since we do have a year to do that. So just want to let you know what is coming up with those standards changing. Okay, so you will have to realign items in the item banks, realign tests if you want to keep any of those tests, and then save test items to a bank for future realignment. And we're going to show you how to do all of that. And again, I'm not sure, on slide 34, this is just the social studies realigning if you just want to preview and see what exactly this process entails. Okay. All right. But that is all that we had for you guys today. Catherine, what is wrong? We finished early.
We're doing much better.
Gracious.